what we're going to do here today is reenact the way it would be if you took the Rusyns and you look at the geography of the people, and you're talking about the southern part of Poland going through Czechoslovakia, down through the Ukraine, Carpatho, and down into and actually down into Romania. So when you look at that whole distance, those people were in that area, but not in any specific country. And then, of course, when the boundaries changed, then you had the Slovaks and the Rusyns and the Rusnaks along the way. So you have some different traditions, but basically the traditions were the same. The one thing that was in common of all of these people was a deep religious base. Very religious folks, and that's what we of course we've been blessed to have that from our people, from our ancestors. And the other thing is that what we're going to do in this little skit here is to show you how the traditional Velia, the Holy Supper, the Christmas Eve supper, was done in the old country. And of course it would vary from location. When you look at southern Poland all the way down into the Ukraine, obviously you're going to have some different traditions, just like we do here from, in Cleveland cooking versus Paula Deen. So we're going to have some slight changes, but basically it's the same. And the other thing is that you have to visualize is that the houses in those years, in those times, were basically wooden structures, and they had a living area, and it was separated by a wall, which was just really kind of like a barn, and the animals were in the right next to the living area. And the reason for that, of course, was for heat. They got heat from the animals, so that's why you have to visualize what we're doing. And we'll be talking about the animals there. We have some simulated animals here, so we have to do it in a simulated fashion. But we've done this Holy Supper thing now for about 5 years. There's 12 different items that are served in that supper. And we would certainly welcome you all to come and join us at ours. We've done it now for 6 years and 6 years running, and hopefully we'll do it again next year.
Okay, I'll be reading the little skit. There are no spoken parts except for mine. This skit was prepared by Marge Adams. She did all the research, and she did a wonderful job of writing this. So here we begin. The Carpatho Rusyn people maintain a wide variety of customs associated with the holidays of the year, but few of them are as elaborate as with the Feast of the Nativity of Jesus Christ. The entire drama of events connected with Christmas is made present in the Rusyn home by the observance of the Holy Supper, the Velia. It is observed wherever Rusyns live, but variations of customs and foods served at the meal are found from region to region, village to village, and even among the different families. These variations testify to the richness of Rusyn culture and the unity of this tradition. The season of Christmas is heralded by 40 days of prayer and fasting, beginning with the day after the feast of St. Philip the Apostle on November 14th. No festivities are held during this time, which is reserved for spiritual preparation for the birth of the Savior. For the wife and mother of a Rusyn family, this is a very busy time indeed. She has spent the entire time in the preparation of the 12 meatless foods for the Holy Supper and in the cleaning of the cottage. Soon the family members begin by the first ritual of the day by washing their hands before supper. This is done in the feeling that they would be clean and healthy during the coming year. Soon there is a knock at the door. It is the father. He is refused to enter until the third knock.
Let me in.
This tradition represents the people telling Joseph that there was no room for them, but finally an innkeeper finds them a quiet place. The father has brought with him a piece of rope, straw, and a sheaf of wheat, which he lays on the table. Entering, he asks God's blessing that the family all live to see the next Christmas, saying, Christos rождается. Slavite Jeho. Christ is born, glorify him. The father places a sheaf of wheat in a vase under the icon of the Nativity in hopes of a rich and good harvest during the coming year. He then takes some straw and feeds the animals, honoring them as the animals who gathered at the cave to honor the newborn child.
A tu je moj dobre stavite.
The father then takes the rope and ties together the four legs of the table, asking God's blessing and protection from all corners of the world. This also symbolizes the everlasting bond of the family's togetherness. The mother and Baba cover the table with a clean white linen cloth, representing the swaddling clothes with which the Virgin Mary clothed her infant son. Then the whole family sprinkles straw on the table to represent the straw in the manger. The meal begins just as the first star appears in the sky at the setting of the sun. It represents the Star of Bethlehem. Christos rождается, Christ is born, slavite Jeho, glorify him. A candle is placed in the window as a sign of welcome to any traveler seeking shelter, or an empty chair is set for those who have gone before us who cannot be present at this Holy Supper. In the middle of the table is placed a large round loaf of white corn, rye, or wheat bread. A candle is placed in the center of the bread to represent Jesus Christ, who called himself the bread of life. It also is a symbol of the Star of Bethlehem, which guided the shepherds and wise men to worship and adore the light of the world. The oldest member of the family lights the candle. The mother and daughters set the table with a variety of 12 meatless dishes. Each dish represents Christ's 12 apostles. Because this is a strict fasting period, no meat or dairy products are consumed until after the Holy Supper. A variety of foods are prepared depending on the region and the village in which one lived. For example, bobalki, pierogi, mushroom and sauerkraut soup, peas, lima beans, meatless halupki, fish, honey, garlic, prunes, apricots, Christmas bread, nut rolls, pagach, and wine. No one is permitted to skip a dish. Each one must at least be tasted. Mother sprinkles each family member with holy water, so their souls and minds might be receptive to the meaning of the birth of Christ. After which they are given sugar or salt and plenty of food. It is a belief among many Rusyns that the animals can speak at midnight on Christmas Eve and would complain to God if they had been mistreated. The holy icon, the Nativity of Christ, is placed on the table by the youngest child. Father leads the family in the singing of the Troparion of Christmas.
Please, if everybody would join me. Your birth, O Christ, our God, has shed upon the world the light of knowledge. For through it those who worship the stars have learned from a star to worship you, the Son of Justice, and to recognize you as the Orient from high. Glory be to you, O Lord.
Now the Father blesses the food on the table with holy water. He opens the bottle of wine and pours everyone a little in each glass.
Very little.
Drive that.
A toast with sweet wine, brandy, or whiskey mixed with honey is offered by the Father. The Father says to all, good Christians, I greet you on the feast of Christ's Nativity and wish you that the Lord grant you and your children good health and fortune to praise the eternal God for many blessed years. Grant it, O Lord. The mother takes garlic and dips it in honey and makes the sign of the cross on her forehead. And all other members of the family according to seniority. The honey symbolizes the sweetness of life and the garlic the bitterness of life. When the mother makes the sign of the cross on the most eligible, ready for marriage daughter, she exclaims, may Jesus grant that young men will go after you like bees go after honey. Now the feast begins. As the Father reads the story of the birth of Jesus from the Bible, a prayer of thanksgiving is recited for the most precious gift of all, the only begotten Son of God, Jesus Christ. Kol Yadi, Christmas carols are sung, and at midnight the entire family trudges through the snow to participate in the midnight divine liturgy. And this ends our little program. Thank you.